Welcome back to the channel. Today, we share deeply sad news rock icon Ozzy Osbourne has passed away at 76. Fans around the world are mourning the loss of this legendary figure. In this video, we'll hear the heartfelt reflections of Sharon Osbourne, Ozzy's wife and lifelong partner, as she opens up about this immense loss. Stay tuned. Have you ever listened to an Ozzy Osbourne song? If so, drop a 1 the comments and tell us which track left the biggest mark on you. If not, just type 0, who knows. After watching this video, you might just become a fan. And don't forget to watch till the end and hit that subscribe button to support the channel. It really motivates me to keep bringing you meaningful content. Ozzy Osbourne, the legendary Prince of Darkness, has passed away at 76, leaving millions of fans worldwide in mourning. His loss is more than that of an artist. It's the passing of a man who walked with his listeners through life's darkest moments. His screams were more than music. They were the voice of a generation that often felt alone. Yet the deepest sorrow belongs to Sharon, his wife, the warrior, the unyielding flame who stood by his side through it all. She grieves not only the man who commanded the stage, but also the one who once held her hand in the shadows and promised never to let go. In the turbulent history of rock, no voice screamed as deeply as Ozzy Osbourne's. Behind every scream was a wounded heart, a silent fight to survive. For far too long, the world misunderstood him. He wasn't trying to shock, he was simply trying to endure. Born into poverty in Birmingham, arrested and ridiculed, Ozzy battled through every obstacle like climbing a jagged, painful mountain. He didn't have the looks, and he never had formal training, but he possessed one force no one could match, a raw, unrelenting presence. With Black Sabbath in the early 70 seconds, Ozzy found a voice for his pain and for the pain of an entire generation. People didn't just hear him, they felt him, because every lyric carried raw, unfiltered truth. He once said, "I sing because I don't know what else to do. I have to scream to survive." For Ozzy, these weren't just words, they were a lifeline. The stage was never merely a place to perform. It became his refuge, a shelter from the storm. His concerts were always wild and chaotic, less like performances and more like emotional confessions. The infamous bat-biting incident in 1982 wasn't a staged stunt, but a glimpse into who Ozzy truly was: impulsive, surreal, and unyielding. With blood dripping down his chin, he kept singing, leaving the audience in sheer awe. For Ozzy, the stage was where he was most authentic, the place where he fought, endured, and survived. He was more than a musical icon. He was a symbol of resilience and raw authenticity in a world filled with showmanship. His legacy remains an eternal flame, burning brightly in the hearts of fans and forever etched into rock history. And though the world now says goodbye, Ozzy's voice will continue to echo, reminding us that to truly live is to be real, to be brave, and to never stop being yourself. He sang through pain, through trauma, through addiction, and under the crushing weight of severe depression. His breakdowns happened backstage, not on stage. He refused to cancel shows, even after spinal surgery, even as Parkinson's gradually stole his mobility in later years. "I owe it to them," he once whispered when asked why he didn't stop, and he meant every word. He wasn't performing for the fans, he was surviving alongside them. At 40, after narrowly surviving alcohol poisoning and multiple drug overdoses, he rose again not just as the Prince of Darkness, but as its survivor. His solo career grew stronger than ever, surging through the 90 seconds with anthems like No More Tears and the launch of Ozzfest in 1996, a sanctuary for young misfits who saw their own scars and struggles reflected in him. By the 2000s, through the reality show The Osbournes, the world finally glimpsed the man behind the madness, a man who often forgot the words but never the pain, who could laugh at himself but never at his fans. His voice grew hoarser with age, yet the soul behind it roared louder than ever. "I'm not a role model," he once said. "I'm a warning." But he was wrong. He was both. A monster and a miracle. A man who tore himself apart on stage night after night so others could feel whole, if only for a little while. And perhaps that is the most heartbreaking truth of all. He gave until there was nothing left, even when the screams fell silent. Looking back, every growl, every unsteady step, every haunting note was more than a performance. It was a plea, a prayer, a promise that even if you were broken, addicted, or drowning in your own darkness, you still deserve to be heard, seen, and loved. And that is what made Ozzy immortal. He didn't just sing above the noise, he became the voice for those who couldn't scream loud enough. And in doing so, he became something no training, fame, or fortune could ever create. He became real. It feels cruel, almost unbearable, that such a voice has now fallen silent. Yet in that silence, we remember that Ozzy Osbourne didn't just survive the darkness, he showed millions how to walk through it and emerge stronger. In the final years of his life, as the spotlight slowly dimmed and his once mighty voice faded to a whisper, the world witnessed a transformation more profound than any encore could ever be. These were not just the final years of a rock star, they were the closing chapters of a man who poured every ounce of his soul into music, into pain, and into the people who saw their own struggles reflected in him. By the time he reached 70, Ozzy's body had become a battlefield. Diagnosed with Parkinson's disease in 2003, though not made public until 2020, he faced a slow, relentless decline. Every step grew heavier, every breath more labored. He endured multiple spinal surgeries, constant nerve pain, and often collapsed backstage after giving everything he had left on stage. Still, he showed up not out of contractual obligation, but because he felt he owed it to the fans who had stood by him through every stumble, every relapse, and every rebirth. His final great act of defiance wasn't a massive stadium tour, but the haunting intimacy of vulnerability. In the last stretch of his public life, Ozzy released Patient Number 9, a project born not of ambition, but of desperation. Every lyric carried the weight of a farewell. Each note carried the weight of a man singing against the silence that awaited him. "I'm not afraid of dying," he once said in an interview. "I'm more afraid of not being remembered." The album was recorded at a time when he could barely stand. Friends and collaborators recalled moments in the studio when he sang sitting down, gripping the microphone stand like a lifeline. "There were times he couldn't finish a take without breaking into tears," one producer remembered. And still he sang. He kept going because, for Ozzy, music was never just a performance, it was an exorcism. On July 5th, during what would become his final public appearance, Ozzy stepped onto the stage at a festival in Birmingham. He didn't sing, he couldn't, but he stood there, trembling yet defiant, facing a sea of fans chanting his name. His eyes glistened with tears, as if speaking the words his voice no longer could. "Thank you, I'm still here." That moment wasn't a concert, it was a farewell disguised as a wave. For Ozzy, it was more than a gesture. It fulfilled a quiet, final wish he had carried through his decline, to stand before his fans one last time and look them in the eye. It was never about glory or legacy, it was about gratitude, about giving himself fully and honestly, even as his body gave way. As Sharon later revealed, he wanted to say goodbye in his own way, and he did. That final appearance brought him peace. When he returned home from Birmingham, drained but calm, he told his son Jack, "You did what you needed to do." In those moments, there was no regret, only fulfillment. For a man whose life had been defined by chaos, that brief silence, surrounded by love and admiration, became his closure. He had given his fans everything, and in return, they gave him the strength to carry on until the very end. In private, the battle was even more agonizing. He told Sharon that he often felt like a ghost inside his own body, trapped, watching the world move on without him. And yet, every morning, she said, he managed to find a reason, no matter how small, to keep going. Sometimes it was a fan letter, sometimes a riff that came to him in a dream, or simply Kelly's laughter drifting from the next room. Ozzy never tried to rewrite his past. In his final interviews, he spoke with raw honesty about his regrets, the people he hurt, the years consumed by addiction, and the father he struggled to be. I wasn't always good, he admitted, but I always tried to come back better, and I came back. He did again and again until his body could no longer keep pace with his spirit. As the days grew shorter and hospital visits more frequent, his family surrounded him, spending nearly every moment by his side. Jack, Kelly, and Amy took turns, reading him letters from fans, many of whom said his music had saved their lives. And Sharon never left him. She was the last voice he heard each night, whispering words only the two of them would ever know. There is a kind of heartache words can't capture, a pain too deep for sound to carry. When Ozzy Osbourne passed, it wasn't just the loss of a musician, it was the extinguishing of a flame that had warmed millions in their darkest hours. His suffering became our solace. His brokenness gave us permission to feel whole. And though he left in silence, the echoes of his life still roar. How did you first come to know Ozzy Osbourne? If it was through the reality show The Osbournes, drop a 2 inches the comments. If you've been a fan since his Black Sabbath days, leave a 5. Each number is a memory. Let's share them to honor the music legend we all love. And as always, in every scream of a metal guitar, in every outcast who finds comfort in a guttural lyric, in every soul that chooses to rise again, that is Ozzy's legacy. That is the spirit that refuses to die. When the news broke, it didn't hit like an ordinary headline. It rippled like an earthquake, shaking the hearts of millions who had once screamed his name from stadium seats or whispered his lyrics alone in their bedrooms. Ozzy Osbourne was gone. And in that absence, the world responded not with silence, but with a roar, an outpouring of grief, gratitude, and reverence that spanned continents and generations. In Birmingham, where it all began, fans gathered beneath an Ozzy mural in Digbeth, leaving black roses, vinyl records, and handwritten letters. Some lit candles, while others blasted Black Sabbath songs from portable speakers, their tears mixing with the rain. One note taped to the wall read simply, "You taught me how to survive." Across the Atlantic, in Los Angeles, crowds gathered around his star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame. Some knelt in full metal gear, others in business suits, each representing a different era of Ozzy's music. One man clutched a worn concert ticket stub from 1982. A woman held a framed photo of herself with Ozzy at an autograph signing, whispering through tears, "He saw me. He really saw me." From Sao Paulo to Stockholm, radio stations paused their regular programming to air all-day Ozzy marathons. For hours, the airwaves carried his voice raw, defiant, eternal. Streaming platforms saw a staggering surge, with Spotify and Apple Music reporting that streams of Ozzy's solo work and the Black Sabbath catalog jumped more than 900% in just 12 hours. War Pigs, Dreamer, No More Tears. These songs were no longer just music. They had become requiems, tributes, and final goodbyes. Old concert footage has resurfaced on YouTube. A 1,983 performance of Bark at the Moon has gone viral, along with a 1,992 interview where he admitted, "I made mistakes, but music always saved me." Tens of thousands of fans have flooded the comments section. Some share cherished memories. Others describe how Ozzy's music carried them through divorce, depression, overdoses, even suicide attempts. One man wrote, "Ozzy didn't just sing about the darkness, he lived it and showed us the way out." Social media has become a tapestry of remembrance. Artists across every genre, from heavy metal to hip-hop, have paid tribute. Metallica's James Hetfield wrote, "Ozzy was the rock we all built on." Post Malone, who collaborated with him on Take What You Want, shared simply, "The honor is mine. Rest in peace, legend." Iron Maiden, Foo Fighters, and members of Judas Priest have all released official statements honoring the man who shaped generations of music. Sharon Osbourne responded by posting a black and white photo of Ozzy backstage, head bowed, hands clasped as if in prayer. Her caption read, "He gave you everything, even when it hurt, especially when it hurt." Around the world, fans held spontaneous listening sessions in parks, bars, churches, and alleyways, anywhere they could gather, and turned the volume a little louder than usual. In Tokyo, hundreds stood in silence at Yoyogi Park, holding candles. In Berlin, a local church rang its bells 13 times once for every Black Sabbath studio album Ozzy led. At the family's home in Los Angeles, a growing sea of tributes stretched down the street. Flowers, flags, paintings, tattoo sketches, even broken guitars. Each one carried the weight of what Ozzy meant to someone. Overnight, a local artist painted a massive mural on the pavement, bearing the words, "He screamed so we could be heard." For Sharon, the outpouring of love became a strange kind of salvation. Every note, every flower, every gesture. It felt like the world was holding him with me, she confided to a close friend. Though she remained quiet in public, those close to Sharon said she spent long nights reading fan letters, sometimes crying, sometimes laughing, always holding a photo of the two of them from 1979, the year they first fell in love. Jack, Kelly, and Amy Osbourne also shared brief but heartfelt tributes. Jack wrote, "He was more than just my dad. He was the loudest, kindest soul I've ever known." Kelly posted a photo of Ozzy cradling her as a baby, with the caption, "Dad made the dark beautiful. I'll carry that with me forever." Public mourning took many forms. Churches lit candles. Tattoo shops offered free Ozzy-inspired designs. Mental health forums opened dedicated threads where people shared how his music helped them face depression, anxiety, and loneliness. One fan wrote, "I was 14, standing on the edge, and then I heard, 'Mama, I'm coming home.' I stepped back. I chose to stay." Industry leaders have moved quickly to honor his legacy. The Rock and Roll Hall of Fame has announced a retrospective exhibition titled Eternal Prince, The Legacy of Ozzy Osbourne. Both the BBC and ITV have scheduled special tribute programs, while early plans are underway for a massive memorial concert at Wembley Stadium, with discussions to include live feeds from Los Angeles and Sao Paulo. Meanwhile, a movement to formally recognize him has gained momentum. Birmingham city officials have proposed renaming a street or square in his honor, and a petition to posthumously knight him surpassed 500,000 signatures in just 48 hours. But beyond the official statements and televised memorials, the most powerful tributes are found in quiet, ordinary moments. A woman alone in her car, eyes closed, screaming along to the lyrics playing in her mind. A teenager discovering Paranoid for the first time, feeling its raw power seep into her soul. A nurse softly humming his songs at the bedside of a patient waiting for a miracle. These are the echoes of a man who transformed pain into song, suffering into music, and that is why his passing leaves a void that can never truly be filled. Ozzy Osbourne holds a place not only in music history, but in the lives of millions in their hidden pain, in their fragile hope, in their fierce rebellion, and in the light of redemption. He was imperfect, vulnerable, unapologetically raw. He was undeniable truth in a world too often built on illusion. As one fan said, he taught us not only how to headbang, but how to hang in there. His voice still echoes through speakers and into the hearts of millions. The world misses him with both deep sorrow and eternal gratitude. As millions around the world mourn the loss of an icon, one woman's grief resonates louder than any tribute. It is the grief of Sharon Osbourne, Ozzy's wife, his fiercest companion, his unyielding protector, and his truest reflection. Their love story was imperfect, scarred by trials and wounds. Now, with half of her life suddenly gone, Sharon stands at the crossroads of sorrow and responsibility. For more than 4 decades, she was not only by his side, but a beacon of light through his darkest battles. She stood with him when the world turned away, when addiction and illness threatened to consume him.